Good morning, Coffee Moaners. Welcome to the Sawalha-Adderleys.
Yes, welcome everybody on this beautiful autumnal morning here in London town. Well, Croydon actually. We hope you're well.
Upper middle class suburb.
Oh yeah, we were called upper middle class yesterday. I quite liked that.
Fat Derek or whatever his name was said it, didn't he?
God, am I really upper middle class?
Yeah,
bloody hell, that was me thinking I was as common as Mark.
Yeah,
there we
absolutely.
go.
You haven't even got any toilet roll.
Yes, right. If you are new to our channel, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. It helps us get these videos out. We've got big news today that I'll be very interested to see how the mainstream media cover it, because it is massive. It is, a huge, huge shift. We're also going to be talking today about a video that we got hooked into late last night with Candace Owens. Now, we know there's a lot of problems around Candace Owens, but
as there were around Tucker.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well, and around Charlie Kirk and what the questions still are around Charlie Kirk, and also Keir Starmer, who I am just gobsmacked, absolutely gobsmacked again by him and by his administration. And by the way,
and
yet again, Diane Abbott has been treated. Yeah. It is just quite extraordinary.
I do want to say,
lots of people saying they think he's coming to an end here.
Oh, he absolutely is. I just want to say, one of the things we do try to do that I think is a little bit different to a lot of the other content, where we try and, we follow a lot of independent media. We follow all the legacy media. We are not simply kind of down a wormhole. We are always plugged into the Telegraph, the Mail, the Guardian, the legacy mainstream media. We always look at what the broadcasters are talking about, but we also look at what they're not talking about. We also follow a lot of Middle Eastern news, independent news outlets, but we also, I think, more than any other channel, try to distribute and show you quite a few different clips from different sources. We go to great lengths. The world. We go to great lengths to get you material and clips and footage that's kind of topical, but also sometimes landed just minutes before, from areas or from platforms that the mainstream media just wouldn't go near. For example, Instagram.
Well, no, but we're really lucky with YouTube because you can show clips from all around the world and all different places and social media. And I love the way you do this, Mark, because I think it's just great. It's great to hear different voices, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my mum says when she used to watch a lot of the content, she'd say, oh, it's such a great place to be able to kind of hear what's happening in different quarters and from different sources.
And I spent a lot of my life going, oh, I'm not into politics. I am. I've always been, really, without name, because I'm into life and people and the world and what makes us all tick. And I think because of you, really, it's the story of life, isn't it? And I think that's the other thing that we do on this channel is we talk from our hearts when we talk about the news. We're not just parroting stuff out. We're usually desperately trying to either control tears or rage, I have to say, to try and stay a little calm.
And we really do, as long as you stay on the right side of not being offensive to us, offensive to other people in the group chat, indulging in hate speak or prejudice, you're welcome. I mean, I think Fat Ted yesterday, or what his name was, he was proof, as long as you share your thought, we might not agree with you, you're welcome, but just keep it polite, keep it civil.
Yeah, because we do.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing I just wanted to say, as a back reference to that, about politics and humanity and life and why you feel you've become more interested in it. Isn't it weird, given that as we become more awake, more aware of how perhaps we've been manipulated, there's been manufactured consent over the years, how we haven't been told a lot, how the legacy media kind of really controlled everything we knew. It's interesting that one of those phrases that my nan and granddad used to say, they used to still say it quite late in life, was, we don't talk about politics or religion.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that became a kind of, it's a thing
Never
in the
talk
UK.
About politics.
Never talk about politics and religion. Oh, right.
We're not even taught it at school. No. Not unless you choose it.
Yeah, I did politics.
You're not taught anything
really
unless you choose to do it, right?
Well, that fired up all my interest. I mean, my mum was very political in the sort of feminist movement, so that I kind of became interested in that. I went to a very political school, which, they marched for the miners and all that kind of stuff.
I got political when I got my first boyfriend. And my mum and dad just kept telling me not to be. My mum kept saying, they're all liars, every single one of them. You're just going to get yourself into a hole that you can't get out.
I've seen your mum and dad get infinitely more engaged in politics.
Yeah, wow. My mum's 87, my dad's 92. I would go to them for reference, honestly. They're so good on it all. Here we are.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the fact that the United Nations has declared officially that Israel is committing a genocide. We're going to talk about that. As Nadia says, Candace Owens, we're going to be talking about her and what she seems to be suggesting, or what is she suggesting around Israel and Netanyahu regarding Charlie Kirk and how Starmer has failed. But I just wanted to show, I don't want to back reference the march again at the weekend. Lots of converging opinions underneath yesterday's coffee moaning. A lot of people taking us to task, a lot of people unhappy, a lot of people arguing in the chat. I'm making sure it's kept civil. I might have missed a few, but keep the discussions going. I just thought this was an interesting meme. Sometimes I think a meme sums it up, and I just want to read it out. If you put 100 black ants and 100 red ants in a jar, nothing will happen. But if you shake the jar, the ants will start killing each other. Red will believe black is their enemy, while black will believe red is their enemy, when the real enemy is the person who shook the jar. Same is true in society. Before we fight each other, we must ask ourselves who shook the jar.
I love that.
And the reason I like that, I had a brief exchange with someone who commented under yesterday's coffee moaning, where I said, you're right. Huge swathes of British people feel unrepresented and failed by this government. But the last thing you do is turn to someone who's also being failed by this government and blame them. That's as simple as that. Somebody
there saying that Zateo has done a good interview with the lawyers. Can you let us know what that's for? I love Zateo. And I saw a really good live, another really good independent news channel. We're not a news channel, by the way. We just talk about news from our kitchen table. But an independent news channel is Nova Media. And their live was really good. And they had Sangeeta Miska, who was sacked from LBC because she took an Israeli guest to task, and she was sacked.
How dare she?
But she's a damn fine presenter and journalist. It's such a shame, such a shame.
Rachel Thomas, just a good point, and then we'll move on. Using the excuse that we should be polite, not discuss religion or politics, and not get above our station in life has been used as a tool to keep us in our place by the upper echelons. You're absolutely right.
And for 1,000 years, people have ruled by turning people against each other. There's just nothing new that's going on, is there?
Nothing at all.
Rule by divide, rule by divide, rule by divide. Imagine if there was somebody that ruled by bringing people together. Jeez, imagine what a world we would be.
Yeah. And it's interesting, isn't it? As the world kind of almost, I mean, Nadia was just watching something, we don't even know where it was, but, more and more populations are kind of fighting. You see police controlling people, attacking people. It's because people are just like, hang on a minute, this doesn't fucking work for us. So what do governments have to do? Set us against each other and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's talk about the G word. A word we were all encouraged not to use, a word that you, due to all sorts of issues, have had to sort of, one has to be careful using the G word, even when it's being done. What's the G word? Genocide. CNN, UN Commission says Israel is committing genocide. Headlines here. Most significant UN inquiry into Gaza concludes Israel has committed genocide since October the 7th. The commission also found that the Israeli president, the Israeli prime minister, and the former defense minister have incited genocide. The Telegraph having to report it too.
Wow, Israel, that must have been difficult.
Painful for them, yeah. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, declares the United Nations. Report concludes Israel is waging its campaign with intent, a crucial element of the crime that is the hardest to prove.
Except they haven't made it hard because they've said it all out loud. That's what I don't understand.
They really haven't made it hard at all.
We're going to give a siege. We're going to create siege like never before. We're not going to allow them food, water, electricity. I mean, why has this been so hard? I don't understand.
So a UN Commission of Inquiry concluded today that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. Navi Pillay, the head of the commission, stated this: genocide is occurring in Gaza. The responsibility for these atrocities, crimes, lies with Israeli authorities at the highest echelons who have orchestrated a genocidal campaign for almost 2 years with the specific intent to destroy the Palestinian group in Gaza. The commission has published a 72-page legal analysis, and it's the strongest UN finding to date. And because the body is independent but does not officially speak for the UN. The UN has not yet used the term, but is under mounting pressure to do so. So once again, this news that that Israel is committing a genocide and everyone is held accountable. And it happens on the day that Donald Trump is coming to the UK, and on a day that Keir Starmer has said nothing about anything that has happened in Gaza, probably for the last, how long?
He just doesn't bother anymore.
He doesn't bother anymore, does he?
No.
So when organizations like the UN or, these departments within the UN, when organizations or genocide scholars call it a genocide,
500
scholars, does that make everyone feel more confident to use the term? Because I think there's been a feeling that social media will punish you, will shadow ban you.
I don't think that's the case anymore.
Right.
Do you? I mean,
I don't know.
Really?
Not sure what took them so long.
We've had genocide experts from across the world define it as a genocide. But maybe a lot of people don't. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, people have tried to stop me calling it genocide in all sorts of ways, but I have not.
No.
I've not, because when you read what constitutes a genocide, it's tick, 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 isn't it?
Absolutely. Has anyone felt that? Has anyone felt, so we need a 75,000 page report on what we've seen with our eyes? I mean, that's what I've said on Instagram. It's just
this is my thing. It's like, though it's big news, it was also big news when Amnesty International did an in-detail 267-page report and defined it as a genocide a year ago. A couple of months ago, we had the report, didn't we, from 500 different scholars and genocide experts from around the world defining it as a genocide, and nothing changed. But I'm feeling surely this has to shift something. I mean, apart from anything else, I just can't wait until America and Israel start sanctioning the people who've determined it. How are they going to pay the price?
Well,
they will pay the price like the ICJ did.
It's just quite astonishing, isn't it? And Marco Rubio, who was in Israel yesterday, looking ever more like a sort of villain from Star Trek.
What kind of a person is he?
He looks like a sort of...
an immigrant family. Jesus Christ.
Isn't he Cuban?
Yeah.
He's of Cuban descent.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't work out whether Marco Rubio looks stunned by the horror story around him. And
of who he has become.
Of who he has become. But at the same time, he then opens his mouth and then just speaks such evil bile.
He used to speak up for people. I mean, talk about...
He's very, very, very odd. But anyway, in other news, so on the same day, Israel has the tank...
Hang on though. With that, do we know yet? Because this news has only really just come in, so we haven't done loads of digging around. Do we know yet whether there is any official shift that can happen with this?
Well, as I understand it, I haven't verified this, but if the United Nations and this organization within the United Nations, though it's not the official United Nations statement, so I mean, again, splitting hairs or what, if a genocide is found to be happening, there are all sorts of obligations that all nations in the world have to sign up to under the Geneva Convention. They have to take action. Right. So it just, you couldn't have our country couldn't be more out of step with what every single humanitarian organization on the planet is finding. When our government, and I can't help but feel our government only said there was no genocide happening to make it more amenable for Isaac Herzog to arrive and be in the country last week, and also because Trump's arriving this week. I think if we'd waited until after Trump, maybe we could have also said, oh, no, hang on, there has been a genocide is happening. We are so devoid of any kind of reliability or trust, or we are shameful. And I know I keep using the term GIMP to describe Starmer, but in every image I see of Starmer with Donald Trump, he looks like a submissive. He looks like he's tickled and he's a furry and he's just a suppurating sack of shit.
D. Rower asks a good question. So can we all now openly say it out loud?
Well, I absolutely think so. And I mean, if anyone has a problem with that, and if you're a journalist or if you're a celebrity who's a bit like, I better not say it. I mean, just point to the United Nations, just point to Amnesty International and 6,000
and to the genocide experts from across the world.
And countless Israeli Holocaust academics, survivors, just be confident. Be confident in calling it what it is.
Get your list together of the organizations and of the experts that have said it. Get yourself a little list. Why not say, As
we know, Israel always pushes the gas pedal to the floor whenever anyone in the world is critical of them, or if a film's made about them or anything like that. So on the same day that this news comes out, Israel have rolled the tanks into Gaza City. Israel Katz has said Gaza is on fire with pride. It's like, yeah, Gaza's on fire with pride. And so the attack is accelerating today. There have been 38 deaths confirmed this morning of women and children.
Children Not Numbers yesterday, and their heart clinic was bombed.
Yes.
Just the videos are just so awful. Are just so awful. They are just blowing one apartment block after another, sky high. I just watched a video just before we went live, and it was just this little old lady, and she was just kissing the door of her house, and like small and frail, and kissing the door, and her son was saying, or her grandson was saying, "Come on, we need to go. Just say goodbye. She knows she'll never. They're going to blow that house sky high. You know, just take that one human being and what's happening to her." That little old lady kissing her door, she walks away, knowing there are no choices here. It's going to be blown up. God.
Michu makes an interesting point. If Starmer puts out a statement saying the UK does not agree with the UN, that would be a moment. It would be a great moment to hear any interviewer or journalist ask Starmer the question.
A difficult question.
Just say, you found them not to be committing genocide. How do you square that with the fact that the UN has found that they are? I mean, just a simple...
Does he ever get interviewed anywhere anymore?
I think he doesn't make himself available.
No.
But interestingly, he really did make himself available, and we're going to hear from him in a bit. He made himself very available to talk about Mandelson, to get himself out of...
I think it made it sound worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to quickly say this. This is quite shocking. What Netanyahu, 2 hours ago, it's been reported that Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu is being widely criticized for remarks admitting that Israel's increasing isolation. Now, bear this in mind, narcissistic psychopath. That Israel isn't isolated, according to Netanyahu, due to anything they've done.
How many countries have they bombed? It's about 11
it's
now.
It's about 11
now.
Yeah, absolutely. But no. In fact, according to Netanyahu, Israel's increasing isolation is due to, and this is coming off the back of the march at the weekend. Remember all of the rhetoric that was used?
Watch the wind up.
The reason Israel is isolated is because of Muslim immigration in Europe.
Listen to that.
Wow.
In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. Listen.
Yeah,
listen.
Do you remember that?
He's getting angry with us all here.
Do you remember that? So he's actually he's connecting Israel's isolation with all of the racist rhetoric spewed out by that Belgian fascist, by
the Dutch girl,
by Elon Musk,
so many foreigners on the stage in London uniting the kingdom. It was really odd.
Really odd. Really strange.
And the Maoris, don't forget the Maoris.
Yeah, they had to invoke the Maoris to a war dance. So Netanyahu was condemned for saying Muslim immigration in Europe is contributing to Israel's increasing isolation. Now, he also said yesterday, and I did a brief reel on this, he also said that Israel, as an advanced and developed democracy, has the right, and is doing so, of targeting terrorists in whatever country they find them. In our thousands, in our millions.
We are all Palestinians.
So that could even mean England. That could even mean England. It certainly is a veiled threat to Turkey.
Yeah, like if there could be anybody Hamas here, he's saying he will bomb the countries where he thinks there is Hamas.
Yes, if there's Hamas in Croydon, Croydon's a target.
So be careful with your hummus and your Hamas.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyone got hummus anywhere?
So it's quite hideously, quite scary.
That's a massive threat.
Yeah.
What were the actual words?
He believes... he can bomb. No, as an advanced democracy, we have the right to target terrorists anywhere. And I posed the question yesterday.
But do we? Does he?
No, of course he fucking doesn't.
If we thought there were terrorists...
he's an advanced democracy. Like, do you remember there's a new He's a different kind of...
he's above our democracy.
Yeah, they're an advanced democracy. Netanyahu is so advanced in his democracy that he can kill people
because
anywhere in
there
the world.
isn't any international law, or am I just being stupid?
There,
where if you think that there's a terrorist that might be against your country, you can just bomb the country. Are you allowed to do that?
No, because people's definitions of what terrorists are different in different countries, so it doesn't hold up, doesn't actually stand legal test. There's a very sort of ironic catchphrase for a DC comic hero called Peacekeeper, and he says, "I want peace so much, I'm willing to kill anyone to get it."
Yes, I know that line. Yes, it's a great
That
line.
should be emblazoned on Netanyahu's forehead, because he doesn't want peace, but he claims to want peace.
And Trump's.
Absolutely.
He's a peacemaker, don't forget.
But he's called it the Department for War because defense is too weak. I just want to play you this clip.
Write it.
I want to play you this clip because I saw it yesterday. Someone sent it to me again today. If you want to be chilled to the bone, and if you want to understand that there is potentially a connection between Israel, intelligence, technology, and believe it or not, cherry tomatoes.
What? What is?
And you have cell phones here? No? You're holding a piece of Israel right there. You know that? I mean, a lot of the cell phones, the medicines, the foods, you eat cherry tomatoes. You know where that was made? And they said, oh, Israel is isolated. Israel can't break out of the siege. And I said, we will. Some of them have stopped weapon component shipments. Can we get out of this? Yes, we can. We're pretty good at producing weapons. Like intelligence, we share both with the United States. A good chunk of your intel. So those in Western Europe who think they can deny us things will not succeed. We can break this siege, and we will.
Nice.
It's a bit of Israel, guys. Always turn your phone off once a day. Honestly, apparently it burns through some of the most ineffective malware and spyware.
Yeah, isn't it incredible? It's the only thing you can really do to protect your phone is to turn it off, because most people keep it on the entire time, don't they? It's to turn it off and turn it on again every day.
Just a very quick final piece. Just want to mention on Gaza. This is Children Not Numbers yesterday and other charitable groups. The first group of children from Gaza arrived in the UK for life-saving NHS treatment yesterday. But interestingly, it was felt that the government tried to hide this. Well,
we talked to Children Not Numbers yesterday, and they were pretty emphatic, you know, because a few of those children, Children Not Numbers, had played a part, well, had looked after them in Gaza. And there was a big crowd at the airport. They were told last minute that the children were coming, which isn't how it's usually done. And there was a big crowd of them at the airport, you know, with the flags and with the, not the flags, you know, the banners and welcome. One of them was a consultant who had got there at 6:30 in the morning that was desperate to greet the children and the families. And at 8:30, contacted Children Not Numbers and said, listen, I'm going to have to go. I'm on call. And they say that, you know, the flight was taken off the board.
So bear this in mind. They removed notification on the flight the flight signage.
So it wasn't shown.
So it didn't register as a landing flight. That's the extent to which they hid
the
their
fact
arrival.
That these children were coming in. And then they weren't allowed to come through. They were sort of bundled off round the back through different exits. They haven't been able to make contact. Now, the thought is, what people are thinking and saying is that they did not want it to be seen that there was support for these children coming here to be helped, because as yet we've been appalling in this country. We haven't allowed any, and there children that were going to be paid for, you know, private. We wouldn't let any Palestinian children in. So they bundled them off. They wanted no fuss. They wanted no greetings. They wanted nothing. They just want to do it shifty round the back door because people are unhappy about seeing the support. And I just think that's just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
As May says, you're right. It did hit the news. It was in the news. So the first group of children, it was in the news. But it was interesting to hear how
they didn't get the pictures of people being excited and supporting.
They killed the state.
They killed the
state,
story.
not the stage managing of it, but the kind of the The good newsness of it wasn't allowed to be amplified. Let's put it like that.
They don't want the support to be seen. Powers that be do not want that support seen.
Now, I'm sure the government may argue that that's a safeguarding issue. But, you know, it's interesting as it comes straight off the back of really quite hostile language around Palestinians. And then, you know, just a tiny drip comparative to, say, Ukraine or any other kind of war-torn, you know, nation that we've supported. The first tiny drip of children that comes in. And basically, it's kind of as best as they can, they try to make sure it doesn't really feel like it's happening.
And Farida, totally disgusting that a single person might be upset that a child's life will have been saved. I get called anti-Semitic when I put out a call to help get a child who's in dire medical need out of the country. You know, so we are in a very evil time. I mean, some of what they were saying on the march about how they felt, I can't repeat it, it was so disgusting. Some of the videos were saying on how they feel on the march when a bomb is dropped on Gaza. It's like, do they understand that? So are they pro-children being killed and maimed? You know, I mean, women, because I felt this was all about protecting women and children. But anyway.
Well, seeing as we're talking about the government, but seeing as we're talking about the government, their total ineffectiveness, their total fucking shambolic inability to deal with anything meaningfully or correctly or efficiently or at all. Let's talk about Starmer and let's talk about the complete clusterfuck that he finds himself at the center of, and then we'll finish.
There's real chat that he could really, his position could really be.
Well, absolutely.
Do you think so? Do you think he could be in real trouble?
What's the fuck? Peter Mandelson, is that his first name? Yeah. Peter Mandelson. This whole drama around how well he knew Epstein, how intimately he was friends with him. How Mandelson, who was the UK's, US ambassador, the guy standing around behind Donald Trump, the extent to which, so Starmer's trying to pretend they'd done their due diligence and stuff came out after he'd employed him and said, yes, go to America and be our man, across the pond. So Starmer's trying to maintain that they've done their due diligence, and this is all stuff that's popped up. But there are huge question marks around that. There's huge question marks around how much did he know. So Starmer's very much trying to lay this sort of responsibility for this at his advisor's feet. And let's have a listen to him, in fact. And the weird thing about this is, you can't for love or money get Keir Starmer to come out and comment on the atrocities happening in Israel. But sure, as fast as shit off a shovel, is he sat in a chair trying to explain that it's not his fault.
None of it's
about
his
Mandelson.
fault.
Post, the diplomatic post of American ambassador, really important post.
Thanks.
And Peter Mandelson, before he was appointed, went through a due diligence process. That's the propriety and ethics team, went through a process. And therefore, I knew of his association with Epstein. But had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him. Because what emerged last week were emails, Bloomberg emails, which showed that the nature and extent of the relationship that Peter Mandelson had with Epstein was far different to what I had understood to be the position when I appointed him.
So hang on, just 1 minute. I knew he was friends with a known paedophile.
Yes.
But I didn't realise he was such a good friend.
Precisely.
So it's like, so what, there's nobody else. We've got nobody else that we could have put forward as the ambassador. Very, very important job, Mark. Very important job. Very important. And I just can't help but think, when you think about everything that's going on with the Epstein files, and you're thinking about how he was appointed as American ambassador, I just wonder if there could be a bit of a connection that he and Trump would be
in cahoots,
become mates, whether there was a bit of something there that might give us a bit of a leverage over here. Whatever, I found that patronizing as fuck.
It's like every answer he gives to everything, he tries to make out you're stupid.
Let me be clear. Let me be very clear.
But all I've noticed he ever does is, and it's an interesting tactic, he says exactly what's happened and puts emphasis on certain words. But he's just described how incompetent he's been and the government's been. He can't say the due diligence didn't pick it up and then pretend that the due diligence didn't pick. Basically, what we're saying is he failed.
But when we knew of his association, so you knew that he was friends with a known paedophile,
a charged guilty
sex trafficker. wouldn't that be enough smoke for such an important job? Let's give him his own words back. Why would you get somebody with sort of a bit of a cloud around them?
Precisely. And let's not forget, Keir Starmer really not availing himself. He was a humanitarian lawyer who prosecuted other genocides. Can't see the genocide that's happening before his very own eyes.
And as he says, and I know about genocide.
He knows about genocide. He was head of the Crown Prosecution Service, but didn't really know about Jimmy Savile. And I'm beginning to think, hang on a minute, I think Keir Starmer is actually a convergence point for nearly every single cover-up that seems to be known to man. I mean, this is a huge fuck-up. This is a massive mistake, because what all this basically means is this. Peter Mandelson was a huge security liability, because if there's this information, let's assume that Starmer didn't know this information and his team had, in an inept fashion, not turned this stuff up, though they should have done. Basically, Mandelson could have been leveraged, blackmailed, and manipulated by, God Almighty, what rogue state could that be? I don't know, but a rogue state, maybe the same one that Epstein was working for. It's a total mess. And so, again, it adds another little flavor to Donald Trump coming over. Donald Trump is coming over today. And look, this is the headline.
Having just waved the president of Israel off.
It's like he's talking to his toddler. Trump to go easy on embattled Starmer.
How do they know that?
During state visit.
How do they know that?
Exactly.
And that's not true anyway, because the person Trump wants most in that chair is Farage.
Possibly.
He'd love him messed up. Well, or no, maybe he thinks somebody else could come in and do a better job.
So in further,
and at the moment, Starmer means a lot of people aren't going to vote Labour.
Starmer is his gimp. He's brilliant. Just keep listening to the squeak of the gimp in the cupboard. There's Starmer. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Donald. Tempted to go to the Trump protest in Central tomorrow. Yeah, it is tempting, isn't it? I think I was assuming that being on a humanitarian lawyer meant he was on the good side. Maybe he just knows how to find loopholes precisely.
We all fell for that.
He knows how to, and also he knows how to play the poker face, the inscrutable face. I mean, I've looked at Starmer for however long he's been in power and just thought Paddington Bear. He's inexpressive eyes like a Paddington Bear. I just want to, in other news around Starmer, check this out. Starmer appoints pro-Israel lobbyist as his parliamentary private secretary.
This is a couple of days after the Israeli president left. Wow. I just wonder if the two things were connected.
Wow. So the guy that he's appointed, this guy, is the head of Labour Friends of Israel.
And he was vociferous against naming Palestine.
So will this guy...
Have you seen the sort of things that he said about Palestine?
This guy? No, I haven't. Nice. I wonder if this guy's going to be popping the news story in front of who he's now an assistant for, Starmer, the news of the genocide announcement from the United Nations. I doubt it. And this is what, this is why it's really important to know who the advisors and assistants are around these politicians.
Well, especially when we see the emails of one of his assistants and advisors in a minute.
Senior Starmer advisor quits over offensive Diane. I couldn't believe this when I saw this yesterday. Senior Starmer advisor quits over offensive Diane Abbott messages. Poor old Diane Abbott.
Yeah. So just on Diane Abbott, who can be, she can put her foot in it a fair amount. She can be a bit dithery and a bit annoying sometimes. But my God, this woman has taken a kicking for decades. And, I was just listening to her talking the other day about, because there she was at the anti-racist march, fearless, speaking up and against. And she's been like that throughout, hasn't she? Whatever you think of her. But my God, the sexism, the racism, the violent words that have been used against her time and again. You said yesterday, didn't you, Mark, last night? You said, how is she still standing?
I don't know.
It's just disgusting.
The lack of respect she's been afforded as the old, I think she's the grand dame, isn't she? What do they call them? The godmother,
mother of the house.
Mother of the house. She's the oldest first serving black, Labour MP in the House of Commons. Was it 3 years ago or so that some Tory MP suggested he'd rather shoot her than have sex with her? And then refused to apologise for being a racist.
Yes, that wasn't right. Yeah, but there was a more racist tone to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, these emails that have been discovered from or text message from 8 years ago, aren't they?
Yeah. So these are historic. So Paul Ovenden, the crisis engulfing Keir Starmer has deepened on the eve of Trump's visit. Paul Ovenden quit as the Prime Minister's Director of Political Strategy immediately after the publication of old messages in which he relayed lewd jokes made at a party about the Labour MP Diane Abbott. Let me just find a bit more detail. Well,
while you're looking, they were disgusting.
Here we go. Starmer accepted
messages.
Ovenden's resignation after he was revealed to have exchanged messages with a friend 8 years ago in which he jokingly recounted a conversation that had happened at a party the previous evening. In those messages, which are revealed in a forthcoming book about Starmer called The Fraud, interesting, Ovenden talked about how those at the party played a game of shag, marry, or kill involving Abbott, describing how they might have sex with her. Diane Abbott called the messages very unpleasant, likening them to the messages revealed by the Martin Ford inquiry into bullying, racism, and sexism in the Labour Party. I mean, what the fuck? It just
I actually read them out yesterday and I was proper shocked. I mean, they're really, really disgusting. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around this. You know, there is the belief, obviously, that you know, people are saying that Starmer knew about these, that he'd been informed on them and he let it go. The guy's apology was the most unapologetic apology. He seemed to be more cross that he had been found out. You know, very disturbing that messages, have you got it there actually? Very disturbing that messages, this was his tone, I'm paraphrasing, from 8 years ago should be used against me like this. You know, which you can understand that he probably feels really put out about.
Here we go, his statement. Do you want me to read his statement?
Yeah.
Ovenden said, I am accused of 8 years ago as a junior press officer sharing with a female colleague the details of a silly conversation that I was party to.
Silly for you.
Yeah, with other female staff members. As an advisor, my duty is to protect the reputation of the PM. But most people could find a private conversation they've had in the last decade, whether in the pub or whatever, that would be distasteful or embarrassing if it were published.
Yeah, but not if you're a politician, unfortunately.
While it is chilling that a private conversation from nearly a decade ago can do this sort of damage, I am also truly, deeply sorry for it and the hurt it will cause. Easy for you to say.
I don't think that sounds very apologetic.
Not at all. Can I just read Coral Roberts?
Because just for a moment, yes. Everybody could have messages that you know, like you could have messages between us that would have been very dark about us, you know, like if we're having a row or something, you know. So I understand.
But this isn't the workplace.
I understand the upset of feeling like, oh my God, I was just telling somebody else, but this is in a workplace, to work colleagues, to other women, degrading a woman in a really disgusting way. Go and read them for yourself to just see how horrible they are. And you don't bring into it your own upset. Yes, he would be upset. Say that to your missus, say that to your friends. God, I can't believe it. That's from me. But you don't do that in your apology. You just say, I'm really, really sorry for all the offences caused. But he's actually standing there defending himself.
He feels sorry for himself.
Yeah.
Coral Roberts, been an MP, she has at Diane Abbott since 1984. As talent, intelligent women, we know what she faces. When you are just brilliant and clever, all white racists can use is your colour. They can never stop us. Well said, Coral.
Yeah, and there was somebody on Nova Media talking about, she was going on to, oh God, what's that very show? And she was in the green room, and the whole gist of the show was going to be about whether you could have sex with her, with that Diane Abbott. And it was all laughing, joking. She said, I didn't watch the show in the end, and I don't know how much of it made the cut, but she said she was just so shocked just sitting in this green room with these comedians and these, and you just think it's just acceptable. It's just accepted that you can just say whatever you want about her.
And let's not forget, she was pilloried. She was investigated. She was suspended for talking about her experience as a black woman of racism and the difference to her as a black woman of what racism feels like versus what it would feel like to someone not of colour. The Labour Party disallowed her own experience of racism. That's what that whole kerfuffle was about her comments regarding, as a black woman, the racism is there all the time. Whereas if you are not of color, yes, the prejudice comes, but it's not the first thing you see. It didn't take a genius to work out what the fuck she was talking about there.
I mean, if I walk around and I am just as I am, right? I'm not going to experience racism in the way that Diane Abbott is. But in certain groups of people, once I say that my father is Arabic,
bang,
it will shift and it will change. It will change. But that is not, I'm not going to experience that every minute I walk out the house, every job that I apply for, you cannot say it's the same. You just can't.
Yeah, totally agree.
And how she was vilified for that is just shocking.
And still is, because she doubled down on it recently. And again, the Labour Party, but it's all right for the Labour Party to talk about how they would shag, marry or kill her. It's a quite astonishing bunch of fucking arsewipes running this country. And don't get me wrong, no different to the previous bunch of total arsewipes who were running this country. But this idea, this stupid idea.
We're just more disappointed because we expect
Labour,
from Labour that they're going to have a heart. They care more about community. They care more about racism and all those things. They're not showing us that at all. Except there must be an awful lot of people in MPs that are steaming.
They must be. Starmer has to go.
Not just about what he's doing on the global stage, but also just locally.
He has to go.
Just all sort. Just like the fuel, everything that he. The cuts that they came in and made straight off the bat. So there's going to be a lot of unhappiness, and they'll be getting a lot of shit from their constituents. So
he has to go. He has to go.
Who would you want?
But who would you want instead? I mean, who's coming?
Andy
I don't
Burnham.
want Yvette Cooper, for fuck's sake.
Oh no!
God, I can't deal with that smirk.
Andy Burnham.
Okay, let's move on towards Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. Disclaimer right at the front here, Candace Owens. We don't agree.
Lots of new names here, by the way. So I just want to say hello to everybody that is that we don't speak out, we don't read out. We haven't yet read out comments.
So just as a kind of disclaimer, we aren't Candace Owens fans. We're not diehards. We're not believers. We don't agree with everything she said. But we did go down. When you say you go down a wormhole, it sounds like you've lost your capability to analyze what you're doing.
No, yeah.
We didn't. We actively chose to watch her half-hour, 45-minute broadcast.
And what I want to absolutely say is, I think part of why the world is in the state that it's in is that we've got to absolutely be on one side or the other. I cannot stand so much of what Marjorie Taylor Greene says. She is outwardly racist in the things that she says. She's thoroughly unpleasant in a lot of her ideas. But I listen to her when she's talking about the Epstein files. I listen to her when she's talking about Israel. We got to listen to people we don't agree with. Now, Candace Owens is a Me Too denier. She thinks that Weinstein was wrongly accused.
She's a pro-lifer.
She's a pro. There's a lot of stuff. But I am very interested to hear just what she's thinking and asking around Israel, because she has insider knowledge.
I'd go a bit further than that.
And she's a very, very good friend. She's a very good friend of Charlie Kirk's.
Well, I would go a bit further than that. There isn't a contradiction in when you suddenly find yourself watching Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens and you think, oh my God, I'm agreeing. What that speaks to is not that you've become some convert or some kind of,
but
lackey.
You can agree on some things and disagree massively on other things.
But also it speaks to something else. It speaks to the severity of what's being done is so extreme, so egregious that it forces otherwise politically disparate people together because the crimes being committed are so obvious.
Yes. And one thing I will say about Candace Owens is, I said to Mark, bloody hell, she didn't have to draw you in. She is an amazing orator. She is very, very smart. You would not want to get on the wrong side of her because she is fearless. The game, the fire that she is in now, what she's doing, and watch the whole video is really interesting. And she has a great delivery. She's very commanding. The whole stuff about Macron's wife is a whole nother story. But just when she gets something between her teeth. But
she has skin in the game in this. So I just want to quickly just read this. Mitchell says she's a right-wing loon at heart, which makes it all the more interesting and compelling and therefore concerning that a right-wing loon at heart is seeing what she's seeing, as we're all seeing in Israel and the Israeli lobby group, and at this moment, what feels like the incomplete story that we're being given around the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Yeah, and these really passionate MAGA people like her, like Tucker Carlson, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like so many, like what's his name, the famous podcast, Joe Rogan that helped get him in. They're all going, wow. And as Mark says, it's such a good point. When you were so far to the right and you're saying this, that is really interesting, because otherwise we're in an echo chamber of people that are already felt a certain kind of way.
And it's a really, that speaks to the heart. It's the very fact that I am not on board with her and that she's speaking so much truth about what we're all seeing. This isn't some jaundiced Muslim influenced as Netanyahu. How does Netanyahu square Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson with the Muslim influence in Europe that's isolating Israel? This is just not the case. So she did a broadcast last night on her channel. It
was very long and very detailed, and she has a real way of speaking that she runs into everything. So it's really hard to get a bit edited out. So what she's been saying before we go to this clip, is she's absolutely destroyed by Charlie Kirk's death. Very, very upset. Has spent the weekend crying. She doesn't cry. She's not that sort of person. She's totally rocked. She's filled with rage. She had to take to a counsellor to try and calm down what's going on. And then she introduces...
And they were friends.
Yes, the good friends and friends with the wife and his wife and all of this. So she introduces the fact that Netanyahu was the first to talk about Charlie Kirk. Now we would play that statement, but it's all too long. So go and watch it yourself. Watch her show. It's really interesting.
Three details on that. Yeah. I mean, and I think we talked about it on the day. Netanyahu, so odd that he was the first, a world leader talking, that world leader, about Charlie Kirk and such
social media influencer.
Yeah, with such intimacy.
As she said, you've got 12 wars going on.
Exactly. The Jerusalem Post was the first publication to publish the story, and Netanyahu and Trump both posted on socials
at exactly
the same minute.
The same time, 3:02, with those vast time differences.
Yes.
Anyway, but what her thing is he talks about this letter that Charlie Kirk had sent
to Netanyahu.
And he talked about and this is all her words, she talked about how he and Trump have let people think that Charlie Kirk was the biggest friend of Israel. Now, he is pro-Israel, but he was questioning things. And she says, and she has receipts, that read the whole letter, Bibi. She says, read the whole letter, because you've only read 2 sentences from it, which was about him coming to Israel, because Bibi had invited him to Israel. Read the letter. You've got it all. You're holding it up, Bibi. So read the letter. And it was really quite sort of like, God, she knows every word in that letter.
Yeah.
She also said, which I found like a mic drop moment, because she said, so you're making out basically that you were huge friends with Charlie, right? I don't remember Charlie's wife mentioning you at all in her speech. And she let there be a mic drop. And they're friends, they're all friends. So it left you feeling like, wow, she knows something there as well. And then she went into more of an explanation.
You're going to hear the name of a guy called Bill Ackman mentioned. He's worth $9.7 billion.
He's the most litigious man.
He's a hedge fund manager and a staunch supporter of Israel. You'll hear his name mentioned. And just finally, before we play this sort of extended clip from Candace, we may pause to kind of go in there. I know a lot of people are very confused. I just saw a few people saying, but aren't they saying he was a left-leaning lunatic? What you have to understand is, and we're not the shooter.
Oh,
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And I'm not even suggesting this is what's happened. We don't know. But if a rogue state, say for want of a better expression, Israel, say a rogue state wanted to take someone out, they're not going to go for someone who's obviously connectable with them. They're going to find someone, and there's a long history of this. You'll find someone, you'll groom someone, you'll target someone who's got their own grievance, and you will foster that grievance. You will nurture it. You will encourage it. by stealth, and you say, yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Take him out because actually he's not conservative enough. The shooter will have not necessarily had a single thought about Israel in his head. If it was Israel, I mean, it's just an inference, but say it was Israel, say it was Russia. He could have shot Charlie Kirk for no other reason other than Charlie Kirk wasn't radical enough for him or whatever. But that doesn't mean that. But that doesn't mean there hasn't been some kind of interference nor involvement from someone else somewhere. They call them the patsy, the fall guy. Someone else takes the hit, someone takes the fall. And he hasn't admitted to it yet.
He has not admitted it, and Candace actually talks about that.
Yeah, in great detail.
Bill Ackman gave $1 million reward.
Now, this is
and
really interesting.
Talk that this has gone to the family.
Well, no, this is really interesting. So Bill Ackman offered, as you rightly say, offered $1 million reward for anyone who could find out who shot Charlie Kirk. This is really interesting. Then we have the father of the alleged shooter tells someone else that his son has admitted it to him, his pastor. So we have a curious situation where Bill Ackman, a supporter of Israel, who, as you're going to hear from this clip, was putting pressure on Charlie Kirk to stick with Israel and not be critical, $1 million could end up going to the father of the alleged shooter. Bearing in mind, the family of the alleged shooter have already expressed, I think the grandmother has expressed distaste and discomfort at how the alleged shooter was seen to be involved with a trans person and not quite Republican enough.
But she goes into full detail of that. Okay, so again, watch it.
Getting a lot of really nasty text messages, and many of them pertaining to Tucker Carlson was really the focus when it came to America Fest. How could Charlie allow these debates about Israel to take place? How could he allow Dave Smith, who, by the way, is Jewish, how could Charlie allow this other position to meet the stage? Because obviously when people start to hear the debates, what Dave Smith is saying sounds so rational, but it was up to Charlie to not allow those things to happen. A month before he lost his life, really, I would say, reached a pinnacle of sorts. Tucker Carlson, while he was on that stage at Turning Point, brought up Bill Ackman, is a billionaire. Bill Ackman was on Charlie about comments that Tucker Carlson had made on that stage. Tucker Carlson specifically asked the question, where does Bill Ackman's money come from? Who is this guy that has this much influence? And like I said, Bill Ackman was not happy about this. And a couple of weeks ago, before Charlie lost his life, Charlie was in the Hamptons, and he had essentially what was staged, an intervention was staged by Bill Ackman, because Charlie's rational thoughts about Israel were a no-no. And Charlie was surrounded by his friends, his quote-unquote friends. Bill Ackman was very upset, and threats were made. That is what I am told, and I will tell you that I am very happy for Bill Ackman to dispute this narrative. In fact, he was asked to dispute this narrative. Max Blumenthal went out to him today, and Bill Ackman came back and said, I have receipts I can show you. And he did not provide the receipts. This is not how it went down. I know it went down this way. I'm waiting for one of them to go on record and to say that it didn't go down this way. It was at this time that Bibi Netanyahu was called and Charlie was invited to Israel. This was an under duress situation, I would say, because I've been in these situations before. When I started asking very sensible questions about Israel, as someone who had dedicated her political life to supporting Israel, many times alongside Charlie Kirk, I was met with the very same pressure. And just like Charlie was being invited to Israel, I was invited somewhere else. And when this arrived to me, it felt like a threat. You know, I got to tell you that. It felt like a threat, like not like, hey, come here and we can educate you because you're my friend. More like, this is your last chance. That's how it felt to me. I can't speak to how it felt to Charlie. And I know that Charlie was offered a ton of money in this moment. Bibi would fund it, you know, spend tons of money. And I know for a fact that Charlie denied that funding. And what Bibi didn't include there, he declined to go to Israel. I would describe this as like, re-education camp. We've seen it. You made an uh-oh, but we can help you. We just need you to come out to Auschwitz and take a picture. Yeah. We just need you to come to the Holocaust Museum and take a photo. We just need you to go to Israel and we can make this better. Charlie said no to Bibi. Okay. Bill Ackman, if you would like to dispute that, I would love to hear what you say happened, because our sources and what we have, it's solid. Okay. There were conversations that took place, messages that were sent at that time, and they are solid. So
she's got receipts.
She's got receipts. So, clear suggestion, the pressure was put down. I mean, Micho, I get it. Yeah, look, the Turning Points organization, no one is, they are not shrouded in having a big heart or being kind or being lovely or being anything. But the point is that there is a connection and a conflation between what happened to Charlie Kirk and an inordinate amount of pressure coming clearly from the Israeli lobby and directly, it would appear, from the Israeli government itself.
This is what she is saying, knowing the family and knowing that, none of us know.
No.
But it's just interesting that she knew him very well, and she's not afraid of saying this because, as she says, she's got receipts on it. So
she actually says at another point, she says, I am, I'm sure that I'm going to have threats made. She even indicated that while she was doing the live, she was receiving those threats as she was speaking.
Yeah.
So, it's incredibly risky. It's a huge gamble. I mean, I did say straight after Charlie Kirk, I bet Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens are very worried and concerned, because it's just like, wow, if you are critical, what could happen? So there are two. So there's that narrative, there's that story, there's this suggestion of discomfort, agitation within Charlie Kirk, real discomfort and disappointment and agitation coming from the, let's call it the Israeli lobby, this kind of summit meeting at the Hamptons.
What will that do, that video with MAGA? How will MAGA respond to that?
Well, I think
because Marjorie Taylor Greene is also a good friend.
Well, as Mitchell says, MAGA are being more and more critical of AIPAC. They're being more and more anti-AIPAC. Now,
because there were videos included in that as well with him, with Charlie saying that he is being, accused of being a bad person because he's asking these questions, and So, and there's been a lot of those played out, hasn't there? That he wasn't happy with the way that people were responding, AIPAC or whoever, to him asking reasonable questions.
I would say that the linchpin in all of this, and if there is a great big cover up here, if it's all kind of interlinked with the global political situation in Israel, if it's tied in with Epstein, because don't forget, on the day that Charlie Kirk died, was shot, the Epstein, the American government voted not to release the Epstein files. I didn't know that. I said that last Sunday. The very same day Charlie Kirk was shot, Republicans quietly blocked the release of the Epstein files with zero media coverage.
Wow.
In the few days since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro took over TPUSA, which is his organization, blocked the Epstein files, banned the Pentagon from boycotting Israel, pushed a bill to revoke citizenship for criticizing Israel, approved $650 million plus for Israel, and Marco Rubio landed in Israel.
So she was very, very strong on if somebody goes and sits in his seat and takes over his... Is that Ben Shapiro? Was she talking about Ben Shapiro there?
Yeah. Bill Ackman pledged $1 million towards the reward for the capture of the person responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The huge bounty placed on the head of the person responsible for his death could possibly end up going to the suspect's family member, which I think...
Do we know, has there been anything further with the suspect? Has he yet admitted it? Because he said he hasn't done it.
No, and this is where the linchpin resides.
He hasn't said he hasn't done it, he's just not cooperating.
You need an incredibly capable FBI, head of the FBI, to manage this kind of cover-up, if it's a cover-up. If this is a politically motivated assassination with all these kind of loose ends flying around, you need someone who's deeply in control of this. You don't need the man who's standing in the background in this shot.
So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here.
So he changed his clothes twice, the shooter. He unassembled a gun that you can't do in the time. He parked his car. He then walked back. He stayed in the same clothes. So many different kind of...
Why did he change his clothes?
And this is another bit of an interview with Kash Patel, head of the FBI. And this could be where it actually all starts to fall down.
Can I also say, while all of this going on, further invasion into Gaza City, further horror story in Gaza City being
all going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the chat on Discord themselves have disputed the line of events that's being thrown out by the government. So all of the alleged shooters' friendship group were like, well, dude, fucking hell, they're looking for someone who looks like you, and have you done it? And so that chat is under debate. But this is another bit of interview with Kash Patel on American news.
We've collected information where, through witness interviews from the FBI and local law enforcement, that he essentially admitted after the shooting and assassination of Charlie Kirk, the suspect admitted to it. Furthermore, the evidence and information will come out. I won't stylize the evidence. The Attorney General is absolutely right. We can't do that. But I will say what was found in terms of information, a text message exchange where the suspect specifically stated that he had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and he was going to do that. And when he was asked why, he said some hatred cannot be negotiated with.
So, Kash Patel is really pushing the narrative that there was also a letter that was written, that they don't have a copy of the letter, but they have evidence, or they are secure that the letter's been written. None of this is necessarily about whether this guy did it or didn't do it. I mean, it might be that he just doesn't admit to it, and he'll still be charged, and there's enough evidence for them to charge him with the towel and with the gun neatly put in the woods. And
no, but the towel wasn't there.
But no, it was wrapped in a towel. They're saying the DNA on the towel matches with his. So just because he gets charged doesn't mean that there can't be some other kind of huge explanation. And all these unconnected thoughts. We played a clip, which in fact actually Candace played last night, of that American Republican sort of, do you remember, the former supporter of Trump, who was describing the impossibilities
because he knows guns so well. You cannot, and she says she had multiple people contact her and say you cannot take that kind of part. You need tools to take that kind of part. It's not like fold it all up.
And they found a screwdriver on the top, but it's interesting, he had time in a minute to screwdriver the thing apart, change his outfit, and then run. I mean, it all just seems so strange.
What is the change the outfit?
It's very odd.
He's so weird.
Very odd.
And you know what? Nobody knows at this point. And if anybody does know, they haven't yet told us. So everything is a curiouser and curiouser. Yeah, I just find it fascinating listening to people's ideas on it.
Yeah. We're going to end with a funny. Should we end with a funny?
Yeah. What was just the one thing? How
do you have evidence of a letter that's not the fucking letter? Exactly. So you can't be, what does he say? You can't be evidentially creative. Is that what he said? Yeah. You can't be creative.
What does that
mean? What do you mean? You can't make it up. No.
Evidentially. Creative. That's a great saying. Evidentially creative.
So they say there was a letter, but they don't have the letter. So they say they have a shooter, but he can't have unconstructed the gun. Yeah. Possibly they found images of the letter. Wouldn't it be interesting? Let's just entertain me for a moment, humor me for a moment. Wouldn't it be odd? Here's a thought. It's just a thought. I'm just floating a thought. It's a thought. It's not an opinion. Wouldn't it be weird if actually this shooter's family was so disappointed in him because he was in a relationship with someone who was trans? He stepped away from whatever their politics were. He was a black sheep. And that actually, curiously, the family were like, yeah, we'll take £1 million from someone who said, we'll give you £1 million if you let us take him. Just a thought. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there. Let's end with some zoomies. This clip, this is so funny. What's the comment alongside it?
I just want to know what the science is around a zoomie. I just think it's when they haven't had enough exercise, is it not? I don't know.
It's so funny.
That would be chocolate.
Hey! God!
Oh, I love it when they do that.
The other dog.
Are you done? Oh, she's not done yet.
He's not done yet. He's probably saying, "Get me out of this office. I'm a dog."
Morning to me.
So like coffee testers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Look at the zoomies.
I love it. I love it. I just want to say, someone just said, Oxidus Magicus, try and avoid wild conspiracies. The problem with that, Oxidus, is they want us to avoid wild conspiracies too. So we're not suggesting it as fact. It's just anyone who wants to engage in a cover-up really doesn't want people thinking about any other line of inquiry.
I mean, I think the thing is with Candace is she's good friends with him and the family, isn't it? And she just, I mean, who knows? She might not know anything, but it was just really interesting because she just seemed so utterly fearless, didn't she?
Absolutely.
About, it's like, come and I've got the receipts. We've got the conversation. So yeah, it will just be interesting. It will be very interesting now to see what Tucker Carlson has to say and Marjorie Taylor Greene, the three good friends of Tucker was good friends.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
So
keep your comments coming, and we will see you later for the No Name Sunday show tonight, which was going to be last night, but it's going to be tonight instead. Okay, guys, take care.